Hi everybody, my name is Simon and welcome to my show on astrology, spirituality and life. I basically create videos and share information onto the internet relative to my understanding of astrology and life and such. Thanks very much for taking the time to actually come over and listen to what I have to say. I truly appreciated all the information that you guys are wanting to hear and understand. So today is part 2 of the Pluto story, what's this all about? And this is kind of one of my favorite ones, to be honest, because I think that we as a human race are able to relate to this energy pattern within consciousness a lot more than sort of the previous one, which was about Pluto in Capricorn. And I think this is the archetype within consciousness that is giving us the hope and the inspiration and the sort of alignment about the new spiritual age that is taking place within our consciousness and connecting to ourselves. So today is the square. I'm going to be talking about Uranus and Aries. Okay, so as you can see, that's the symbol Uranus. Uranus is in the consciousness, or it is our higher minds. It is our consciousness. It's the electric vibration that exists within our consciousness. And it also associates to the future, and also at the same time relates to the nature of deconditioning. It's an outer planet. Uranus sits just outside Saturn on its orbit, okay, and it is considered a generational and also an outer planet as well. It's kind of interesting because Uranus is the rebel sort of planet within consciousness. And when you look at the rings that exist around it, every single one of the planet's rings goes around like this, whereas Uranus goes over the top, over its northern southern hemispheres. So such a rebel. Uranus and Aries. Just going to click that button over there for us. So what does it actually mean, and how does it fit into this sort of like, you know, beautiful tapestry of universal imprinting that is being reflected back to us from the constellations? I think it's probably one of the coolest things that you can really see when you start to see the messages that exist within the mirror outside in our constellations, and are reflecting back to us our nature of our own evolution. So Uranus and Aries has been the experience within our consciousness that has been liberating us, okay? And Uranus and in Aries, the sign Aries, has been kind of there for some time now, and it's been doing exactly that. Revolution. Okay. Why? Because ever since the time that we have been existing as human beings, since the industrial age, we have been conditioning our psychology to live in a very oppressive, sort of controlled state of being. And we developed a way of manufacturing stuff and building stuff, etc., but then we became slaves to our own machinery, which is why the Matrix film, for instance, is such an interesting perspective on the nature of our reality, because it's so in tune with the planetary systems that are taking place. In fact, the Pluto Story is, for instance, the Matrix film and all 3 of them. So I highly recommend that you guys go over and watch them at least, or at least see Mark Russio's just decoding the Matrix. So fantastic stuff. I really, really like his work. And a lot of it is about the awakening process and how we are being unplugged from this consciousness of just following everything, you know, Pluto through Capricorn. So Uranus is the symbol of deconditioning. It is the process in which we go about breaking the shell of something that was molded before. Okay, Saturn basically creates limitations and form. It gives us a sense of security. It gives us a sense of boundaries. Okay, it gives us a sense of, okay, this is where it ends and this is where it begins. But evolution cannot exist without the process of that being broken in order for us to explore new grounds. So Uranus's job within the constellation and within our consciousness is to decondition the nature of what has been conditioned on us. And it is that process that is then the liberation. That is that process of rebelling. It is that process of removing what has been, so that we can grow, we can explore, we cannot just stay in the one place and just stagnate. So Uranus in Aries then is creating this type of energy. Aries relates to the instinctual action, the unconditioned way of existing. It is about beginning something new and starting that process. So the birthing process of a baby is related to the Aries sign as well, because it is that new moment that is existing. So if you synthesize, if you put the two planets of Uranus and Aries, or the constellation Aries and Uranus within together, you're going to have this massive explosion of liberation, and it's instinctually happening. It's not where we're going, oh, we need to do this and I'm going to make this choice. It's like, we need to do this, and I'm feeling it from the bottom of my consciousness. Where is this coming from? Well, on one level, Uranus does correlate specifically to the nature of our individual unconscious. But before I go there, I just want to share with you guys the nature of what Uranus is actually doing relative to Pluto in Capricorn. So Uranus in Aries is making what we call a waxing square to Pluto. So there it is on your screen right now. Okay, Uranus in Aries, as you can see the symbolisms, and Pluto and Capricorn are there as well. So the relationship between Pluto and Capricorn and Uranus in Aries is a waxing square, and it's at 90 degrees, right? So what that means when we say waxing, we mean that the evolutionary state between the two planets in their relationship is one where of new emergence. It's about behaving in a way where we have just learned a lot of information about who we are and how we can relate to ourselves, and gathering information. And now it's time to sort of like put that into practice, like start to action it. But there's a sort of crisis in action behavior pattern associated with this, because the energy has not formed yet in a way where it's sort of understood completely. So we're going through this period of time where the process between Pluto and Uranus is about liberating, and that liberation process is not really understood by us. So we're going about it, and we're sort of learning through our reactions to these experiences more about the nature of why this liberation process is taking place. Does that make sense? It's kind of an interesting process, and it's beautifully expressed within all our lives and within the nature of consciousness in itself. So why is this actually happening? Well, Pluto in Uranus has, Pluto in Capricorn has been creating this information: oppression, unjust use of power to enforce an unequal relationship and deny others' rights or values. That is a Uranian experience, okay? And it's such a beautiful expression of it, because when you just take a look at Occupy Wall Street, when you take a look at what's recently happened in Venezuela, when you have a look at what's happened recently with all the other, the Arab upsprings, and all of these type of information, this collective, this individual unconsciousness has been created and has been oppressed for such a long time. And just like a ball that sits on water, okay, if you take a hand and you push the ball down under the water, the ball will stay there for a period of time. But then eventually when you take it away, it comes back to the top again, because it's its natural position. So think of us as human beings and our natural spirituality, our natural way of being, as the ball, and take the control mechanisms that we have imposed on ourselves as this oppression, and we're being sort of pushed under, and our natural way has been existing. And Uranus and Aries, relative to Pluto in Capricorn, is now that process of that ball coming back up and saying, no more are we going to be standing for this. So liberation is the next process within consciousness, okay? Now, on the right-hand side, I've actually put up something over there that's kind of interesting, and this is one of the Jungian experiences, and that was just that Saturn, Capricorn, relates to the consciousness, okay? We're able to only see as far as our limitations, okay? And part of that limitation is defined by Capricorn, okay, because it is literally where form ends, okay? So our consciousness ends at Saturn. And then what we have is our individual unconscious, which is Uranus, our long-term memory, going back from the past and obviously the blueprints of the future. And if you put Uranus in the personal unconscious, individually different, okay, and you put Uranus over the Aries over there, what we're having over here is this uprising into our reality, okay? So Pluto and Capricorn, our reality, Uranus and Aries putting it through to our reality from the unconscious, and then what we're having is all these experiences of these uprisings. Beautiful, hey? How this energy is working through our consciousness, and we're not at the stage yet where we completely understand why we're doing it on most of the levels. We're just doing it and then seeing what happens. Now, of course, Uranus will also correlate in some way, shape, or form to trauma, okay? And the reason why is because part of that awakening process of Uranus is putting us in situations of shock, okay? We're unprepared for it. It's just happening. It's quick in situations. So what's happening is that we're in the situation, but a lot of bloodshed is taking place in these sort of Venezuelan experiences, in the Arab upsprings and all the Egyptian riots, etc., and of Occupy Wall Street. You can see that there's a lot of trauma where people are behaving and fighting for something, but then sort of being attacked back in some way. So a large part of that process is about that waxing square. So my message to you guys about Uranus and Aries is liberation, okay? This is why we are sort of tuning into this vibration of spiritual awakening. We're being released. That is exactly what's happening. We're being released from conditioning patterns that have defined us as being primordial, like being completely and utterly just beneath the surface. And we're waking up to this experience, Uranus, the awakener, okay? And we're liberating ourselves from this conditioned process that is taking place. And it's just a beautiful thing, you know, because it is completely in line with our natural ways of being within our consciousness. We're waking up. So it's an awesome thing to understand. Uranus will be making its sort of like squares or aspects to Pluto and having this conversation. Well, Uranus will be in Aries from 2010 and up until 2019. And there'll be 7 aspects that will be being made between that period of time to Pluto, where it will be intensifying. And that's when you'll notice a lot of the information that is being consciously imprinted through to our conscious mind will be actioned a bit later. So we had a Uranus square just recently, and now then sort of like we wait for the energy to build up, and then it echoes into reality, and what we have is these new upsprings that are taking place, these new liberations. And as these squares are beginning to manifest themselves, the more we are waking up to the totality of oppression that has been imposed on us. So one of the great examples that I can give to you is people like David Icke, for instance. He's doing a lot of work there. Mark Rousseau, like I said, a lot of our Facebook statuses are about spiritual awakenings and defining ourselves, and a lot of the information is about reconditioning the nature in which we relate to ourselves, right? And that is what I'm going to bring to you guys in part 3, 4, and 5 relative to the awakening within ourselves. I hope this was insightful, guys. I truly appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to listen to it. Hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed what I had to say. And if you want to understand how this is personally working in your own life, come over to my site, which I've got all the information at the bottom. And also feel free to put your comments down in the bottom and connect with me. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say relative to your own experiences. Until then, thanks, guys. Have a fantastic day. Bye.